Welcome back to Midco Sports Magazine and our look at recruiting. Well, it is an honor, it's an opportunity to play college athletics, but it can be very stressful on high school kids. Jason Andera has more on that, including the story on one high school football player who really embraced the process, liked the attention, and went to great lengths to get himself noticed.
Right now, there are hundreds of thousands of high school athletes across the country with aspirations to play college ball. But roughly 10% actually move on to the NCAA level. And of those college athletes, only approximately 2 of 10 receive an athletic scholarship to do so.
There's other people working just as hard, and if you're thinking you're working hard, just think, hey, there's someone out there in the world that's working just as hard to get that spot.
A college recruiting journey can take many twists and turns, and everyone's story is unique. For one of those unique stories, we start with this guy.
And you have to take initiative of your own recruiting process, because it's not just going to be handed to you.
This is a glimpse of how one player took extreme measures to initiate his recruiting process. A couple of years ago, an assistant coach at the IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida, took a look at some online footage of a high school sophomore from South Dakota, sent a Facebook message to invite him to play football in Florida, then waited for his response. That sophomore, named Mikey Daniel, sensing a big opportunity to learn and experience football at a high level, said, "Sure," then headed 1,700 miles from his home for his junior year of high school football.
When I had that opportunity, I jumped all over it, just because, I felt like that was the key to helping me reach my next level and helping me fulfill my dreams. So I jumped all over that. Not taking anything away from Brookings, obviously, but it's an opportunity that, I don't know, I was mesmerized by it, I would say.
The IMG Academy is a prep school designed to create prep stars into elite NCAA athletes in many sports, including football. He feels his experience at the academy got him prepared to think like a college football player.
The days down there are exhausting, and it was a lot like college, getting me ready for college, and that's exactly what it is college prep school. So we went to school for 4 hours a day, and then we would practice from anywhere between 2 to 7, 1 to 7. It didn't matter. We were out there all day.
After just a semester of rigorous football training in Florida, Daniel returned to his high school and community in Brookings, South Dakota. He turned in a stellar senior season and helped his team make it to the state finals. Does Mikey have any regrets how he handled his own recruiting process?
Yeah, I don't regret it at all. 100% believe that it was the best thing for me. And just because now I know what college is like, down there, football, it was the job. That you lived, you ate, you slept, you breathed football. That's all there was to it. I'm really happy I made that decision to go down there.
It's always a delicate dance between the player, the school, and a limited number of spots and scholarships. They don't always match up in a timely manner.
The recruiting process is very stressful. It's a lot of fun, don't get me wrong, but it's very, very stressful. There are days where things aren't always going the way that you want them to, and coaches are telling you this thing, they're telling you that, come to our school, come to our campus here, and it gets kind of stressful. They want you all to come to camp. It's a lot of traveling, a lot of visits, and there's some days where it gets to me and I just want to break down and cry. It gets that stressful.
A common theme for players is the anxiety of waiting for just the right offer.
It was amazing to be wanted by everyone, but it caused kind of some stress because there were so many things that I need to sort out between colleges, and I didn't even really know how to do that yet.
I've told everyone it was the hardest decision I've had to make in my life, and it was just a really tough decision.
Yeah, it was stressful because I didn't have a ton of offers, especially from some schools that I wanted to. So I was happy when I got that Ohio State one, and it kind of let go a little bit. So.
Joined by Jason and Dara. And let's go back to Mikey Daniel. First of all, you've had a lot of contact with him, gotten to know him very well. And he kind of took a different tack, didn't he? Both in what he did, the lengths he went to, and his attitude about it. He really embraced this whole process, didn't he?
Yeah, there's not many sophomores who decide to move 1,700 miles away from home to get noticed at a higher level. And he was really into raising his stock up a little bit. And when he saw that opportunity, he took it, and he's glad he did. Not the typical way that people will go to get noticed, but the first step is typical, is putting your stuff online, and he did that at a very early age to get noticed.
It took him all this to go through all this to find out where he really fit, though, didn't it? And where did he end up?
It did, and again, it's all about managing expectations. I mean, going into this, he was just shooting for the stars at the highest level he could possibly get. You know, throughout this year, he's been contacted consistently by Georgia Tech, by schools on the West Coast, you know, preferred walk-ons from big schools like Nebraska and Oregon, but he didn't know exactly how much interest they had on the other side, and that's the tough part of this for these kids. They know they have some interest, they don't know how much, and he had these good solid offers from FCS schools. He said he would consider a couple FCS schools, SDSU and NDSU. He considered them both, and in the end, after all of this promotion and trying to figure out what he wanted to do, he decides to move just down the street and play with the Jackrabbits, which is a very solid Division I program.
All right, and when it came down to it, it got stressful for him toward the end of the process, right? All these other kids you talk to talk about the stress of it and the relief when they finally sign. Why are they so stressed out? What is it about this whole thing?
This surprised me the most out of anything doing this story. I mean, going into the story, I thought, you know, I was never recruited. I thought, wow, it'd be great to get recruited, to be wanted by so many people. And they all talked about the stress of the situation. Mikey talks about the stress of go to my camp. Yeah, you know, you got to travel to go do this. You have to decide which visits you're going to take, which ones you're not going to take. How much money of your own money are you going to spend on this stuff? That's a big part of the stress. The other part of the stress is just not knowing, like I said, not knowing how much the other schools like you, which schools are interested, how interested are they, and time and time again, you get that theme. We are stressed out by this. And the only couple people that weren't stressed out by it were people I talked to who committed very early. We've seen SDSU, the women's team, do this for a long time, is really get those verbal commitments early. Jessica Maris and Sydney Palmer, two players who committed as sophomores. That relieved a little bit of their stress level. They knew what they wanted, they got what they wanted, and it was a very easy process for them.
And as you say, the kids have no idea going into this what the rules are, what they can do, how this is all going to interact with coaches and institutions. But there are actually programs now set up for high school kids that are going to go through this process.
That adds to the stress, yes. And the stress is not just with the kids, it's with the parents. Sometimes their expectations are totally different than what happens in real life, and sometimes the kids' expectations are totally different. And you're right, everybody goes into this not knowing what to expect. But now, Coach Riggs here at with Sanford Power in Sioux Falls actually put together a class for kids to just be introduced to this whole recruiting process so they know what to get into. He said he wasn't sure how many people would be interested in it. He got a full room the first time he opened it up at his combine, and obviously a lot of kids interested in what all goes on in recruiting.
All right, good stuff. Thanks, Jason Andera. Well, our thanks to all the coaches and the kids who helped us out. We'll see you next time on Midco Sports Magazine.